Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share today is not just another old coin story. This is something that can completely change how you look at the coins sitting quietly in drawers, boxes, or passed down from your father or grandfather. Before we begin, take a second and subscribe to the channel, because the kind of information you're getting here is the kind that serious collectors spend years learning. And today, we're talking about a coin that most people ignore, but a few lucky individuals have turned into life-changing money. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance. A bit worn, maybe slightly scratched, carrying the weight of decades. But what if I told you that this very coin could be worth millions? Not thousands, millions. That's the story of the 2.5 shillings coin from South Africa featuring King George. Now let's go back in time. Picture South Africa during the early 20th century, under British influence, when coins were not just currency, but symbols of power and identity. The 2.5 shillings coin, often referred to as the half crown, was introduced as part of a structured monetary system. It wasn't just used for buying goods. It represented a connection between the British Crown and South Africa. The coin itself carries the portrait of King George. Depending on the year, it could be King George V or King George VI. His profile is not just an image. It reflects a period of history marked by war, economic shifts, and global transformation. When you look closely at the coin, you're not just seeing metal, you're seeing history frozen in time. Most people who come across this coin think it's just old silver. They might even sell it for its melt value, completely unaware of what they're holding. And that's where the biggest mistake happens. Because the true value of this coin doesn't come from its silver content. It comes from rarity, condition, mint marks, and historical significance. That let's talk about rarity. Not all 2.5 shillings coins are the same. Some years had high mintage numbers, meaning millions were produced. But other years? Extremely limited. Coins from low mintage years are the ones collectors chase. And when demand is high but supply is low, the price doesn't just increase, it explodes. Then comes condition. This is where things get serious. A coin that has been heavily circulated, scratched, or worn down will have a much lower value. But if you happen to find one in near-perfect condition, sharp details, clear lettering, minimal wear, you could be holding something extraordinary. Collectors are willing to pay huge amounts for coins that look almost untouched, as if they've just left the mint decades ago. Now let's discuss mint marks. This is something many people overlook, but it can completely change the value of your coin. A tiny mark, often barely noticeable, can indicate where the coin was minted. Some mint locations produced far fewer coins than others, making those pieces incredibly rare. And rare coins are where the real money is. There are also error coins. These are coins that were struck incorrectly during production. Maybe the design is slightly off-center. Maybe there's a double strike, or maybe there's a flaw in the metal itself. Most people think errors reduce value, but in the world of coin collecting, errors can make a coin even more desirable. A unique mistake can turn an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind collectible. Now think about this. How many coins have passed through your hands over the years? How many have been stored away, forgotten in drawers, boxes, or old collections? The truth is, valuable coins don't always come from auctions or professional collectors. Many of them are discovered by ordinary people who simply took the time to look closely. There's also the emotional factor. For many men in the 55 to 65 age group, coins like these are not just objects, they are memories. They remind you of a time when money had weight, when coins had character, when every piece told a story. Holding a 2.5 shillings coin is like holding a piece of your past, a connection to history that modern currency simply doesn't have. But here's where things get really interesting. Over the years, the market for rare coins has grown significantly. More collectors, more investors, and more demand. And when demand rises, prices follow. Some coins that were once considered average are now being reevaluated and sold for astonishing amounts. Collectors are not just looking for coins. They are looking for stories, uniqueness, and historical importance. And the 2.5 shillings coin checks all those boxes. It represents a specific era, a specific ruler, and a specific moment in time that cannot be recreated. Now let's talk about how you can identify if your coin is valuable. First, check the year. Certain years are more desirable than others. Then examine the condition. Look at the edges, the lettering, and the overall appearance. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Look for mint marks or any unusual features. And most importantly, do not clean the coin. Cleaning can actually reduce its value significantly because collectors prefer coins in their original state. Another thing to consider is authentication. If you believe you have a rare coin, getting it verified by a professional can make a huge difference. Certified coins often sell for higher prices because buyers trust their authenticity and condition. Now imagine this scenario. You find a 2.5 shillings coin in an old collection. You examine it closely and realize it's from a rare year, in excellent condition, with a unique feature that sets it apart. You take it to an expert, and after careful evaluation, they confirm what you hoped for. That coin you almost ignored is worth a fortune, and this is not just a fantasy. Stories like this happen more often than you think. People discover valuable coins in the most unexpected places: old boxes, inherited collections, even loose change. The key is awareness. Once you understand what to look for, you start seeing coins differently. You start noticing details that others overlook. And that's when opportunities appear. Now let's address the value. Because this is what everyone wants to know. How much can a 2.5 shillings South African coin actually be worth? Most common versions in average condition might sell for modest amounts, depending on silver content and demand. But rare versions, especially those with low mintage, exceptional condition, or unique errors, can reach incredible prices in the collector's market. And in the highest tier, where rarity, condition, and demand align perfectly, these coins have been known to reach values up to $19 million. Yes, you heard that right. $19 million. But understand this clearly. This level of value is extremely rare. It represents the absolute peak, where everything about the coin is extraordinary. However, even coins that don't reach that level can still be worth significant amounts, far more than their face value or silver content. So what should you do next? Start checking. Go through your old coins, your collections, your family heirlooms. Take your time. Look closely, because the difference between an ordinary coin and a valuable one is often just a small detail. And remember, the people who find valuable coins are not always experts. They are often individuals who simply paid attention, who took a closer look when others didn't. This is your opportunity. Not just to discover value, but to connect with history, to hold something real, something meaningful in your hands. And who knows, the next time you open an old box or look through a collection, you might just find that one coin that changes everything. And as you sit there thinking about it, something starts to change inside your mind. Coins are no longer just metal pieces. They become clues. Each one carries a hidden message, a silent story waiting for someone patient enough to understand it. And this is where most people fail. They rush, they ignore, they underestimate. But you're not here for that. You're here because you want to see what others don't. Now let's go even deeper into this 2.5 shillings coin, because the real secrets are not on the surface. They are hidden in the smallest details. The edge of the coin, for example. Many collectors overlook it, but the edge can tell you whether the coin has been tampered with, shaved, or altered in any way. A perfectly preserved edge with original milling is a strong sign that the coin has not been damaged or modified. Then there's the weight. Serious collectors always check the weight because even a slight difference can indicate something unusual. A coin that is slightly heavier or lighter than standard could be an error piece or even a counterfeit. That's why precision matters. A small digital scale can reveal information that the naked eye cannot see. Now think about the metal itself. Over time, silver develops a natural patina. This is not dirt. This is not damage. It's a layer that forms naturally and actually adds to the coin's authenticity. Many beginners make the mistake of cleaning their coins to make them look shiny. But in reality, that shine destroys value. Experienced collectors prefer coins with original surfaces, even if they look dark or aged. Let's talk about the design. The portrait of King George is not just stamped randomly. Every line, every curve, every detail was carefully engraved. On high-quality coins, you can see fine details in the hair, the crown, and even the facial expression. On worn coins, these details fade away. So the sharper the design, the higher the grade, and the higher the value. And here's something very few people talk about: the sound of the coin. Yes, the sound. When gently tapped, a genuine silver coin produces a distinct ringing tone. It's clear, almost musical. Fake coins or heavily damaged ones often produce a dull sound. This simple test has been used by collectors for generations. Now imagine combining all these factors. A coin with a rare year, perfect weight, untouched edges, natural patina, sharp design, and that clear ringing sound. That's not just a coin anymore. That's a collector's dream, but the journey doesn't stop there. Because once you start understanding coins at this level, you begin to see patterns. You begin to recognize which coins are undervalued, which ones are overlooked, and which ones have the potential to rise in value over time. And this is where smart collectors separate themselves from the rest. They don't just look at what a coin is worth today. They think about what it could be worth tomorrow. They study trends, demand, and historical importance. They think long-term. Now let's consider something important. The global coin market is not static. It's constantly evolving. New collectors enter the market every year. Older collections get passed down or sold. Rare coins disappear into private collections, making them even harder to find. And when something becomes harder to find, its value increases. This is exactly what has been happening with coins like the 2.5 shillings South African coin. Over time, more people have started recognizing its significance. More collectors are searching for high-quality examples. And as a result, the best pieces are becoming increasingly rare. There's also the emotional side of collecting that cannot be ignored. For many collectors, especially those in the 55 to 65 age group, this is not just about money. It's about passion. It's about history. It's about holding something real in a world that has become increasingly digital. Think about it. In today's world, most money exists as numbers on a screen. You can't hold it, you can't feel it, you can't connect with it. But a coin like this, you can hold it in your hand. You can feel its weight. You can see the marks of time on its surface. It's real, and that makes it special. And that's why collectors are willing to pay so much. They're not just buying a coin. They're buying a piece of history, a tangible connection to the past. Now let's go back to the idea of discovery. Because this is where things get exciting. Valuable coins are not always found in perfect collections. Sometimes they are hidden among ordinary coins, mixed in with pieces that seem insignificant. That's why attention to detail is everything. Imagine going through an old box of coins. At first, everything looks similar. But then one coin catches your eye. Something about it feels different. Maybe it's the shine, maybe it's the detail, maybe it's the year. You take a closer look, and suddenly you realize this is not an ordinary coin. That moment, that realization, is what makes coin collecting so powerful. It's the moment where knowledge meets opportunity. But here's the truth. Not every coin will be valuable. And that's okay. Because the goal is not to find value in every coin. The goal is to recognize value when it appears. And the more you learn, the better you become at recognizing it. Now let's talk about preservation. Once you find a coin that might be valuable, protecting it becomes your priority. Store it in a safe, dry place. Use proper coin holders or capsules to prevent damage. Avoid touching the surface with bare hands, as oils from your skin can affect the coin over time. These small steps can make a big difference. A well-preserved coin can be worth significantly more than one that has been neglected. Another important factor is timing. The value of coins can fluctuate depending on market conditions. Sometimes it's better to hold on to a coin and wait for the right moment to sell. Other times, it might be the perfect opportunity to take advantage of high demand. This is where patience comes in. The most successful collectors are not the ones who rush. They are the ones who wait, who observe, who make decisions carefully. And now, let's bring everything together. You have a coin. It might look ordinary, but you now know what to look for. You understand rarity, condition, mint marks, errors, weight, sound, and preservation. You see the coin differently. You see its potential. And this is where your journey truly begins. Because from this point on, every coin you encounter becomes an opportunity. An opportunity to learn, to discover, and possibly to find something extraordinary. And yes, while most coins will not reach extreme values, there is always that possibility. That one coin, that one discovery, that one moment that changes everything. The 2.5 shillings South African coin is a perfect example of this. It represents history, rarity, and potential. It reminds us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it's hidden, waiting to be uncovered by those who are willing to look deeper. And at the very top of that potential, in the rarest of rare cases, under perfect conditions, with extraordinary characteristics and demand. The value of such a coin has been known to reach as high as $19 million. That number is not just a figure. It's a reminder of what is possible to the next time you come across an old coin. Don't ignore it. Don't assume it's worthless. Take a closer look, because hidden within that small piece of metal could be a story, a history, and maybe even a fortune waiting to be discovered.